Hi, my name is Gayatri and I will be your trainer for this session.
Hi, and welcome to a quick introduction to Docker. In this session, we are going to see Docker and volumes. If you haven't seen our previous sessions, I will link them in the description box below. Alright, let's come back to our terminal and let's create an empty folder called HTML. And inside this folder, let's create a new file called index.html with the contents hello world. Yeah, and we see that we have a variable called $pwd which has got the present working directory. So let's put this all together and let's create a container from the Nginx Alpine image. So docker run -d small p 8181 -80 -v. We are going to give the full path to the HTML folder and map it to the user share Nginx HTML folder inside the container. So what is this -v? This -v is used for volume mapping. So we are mapping our current folder HTML into the user share Nginx HTML folder inside the container as a volume. Yeah. So now let's try to browse localhost colon 8181 and we should get our custom index page with the content hello world. Excellent. So let's go ahead and create a new file index2.html with the content hello world 123. Now when we browse localhost colon 8181 / index2.html, it works and we get our hello world 123. So what just happened over here? So when you map a host folder as a volume inside a container, the changes that you make on the host folder are always available inside the container. The other way is also true. If I were to enter this container and make some change in this particular folder, that will be available on the host folder too. Now, one thing that you have to remember is when you do a host folder mapping like this, you have to give the full path. You cannot give relative paths. Also, if you're on a Windows machine, you may not have the $pwd variable. In that case, you have to manually give the full path to your present working directory. Alright, so this looks good. Let's go ahead and delete this container. So let's do a docker ps and we get the container ID. And then we do a docker rm-f and the container ID. Remember, you don't need the whole container ID, you just need the first few characters. Good. So now let's create a new container from the Ubuntu trusty image, and this time we are going to map the HTML folder into a new folder inside the container. So we are going to map it to /web inside the container, and the name of our new container is volume1. Yeah. So now we are going to execute a command docker exec -ti volume1 and df. So we are going to see the list of volumes inside the volume1 container, and we see that our /web has been listed as a new volume. Let's check the contents of the /web folder and we should see our two files, that is index.html and index2.html. Yes, we see it and it's all good. Now let's go ahead and create a new file in our HTML folder on the host machine and let's call it abcd.txt. Yeah, and this should be available in our /web folder. So it's all good. So now let's create another container, and this time we are going to use a new flag, that is --volumes -from. Now what this flag does is that it allows you to create a new container which has got the same volume mapping as another container. So in this case, we are creating box2 which has got the same volume mapping as volume1 container. Okay, so let's check the ls-l/web in box2 and we should get our three files. That's index, index2 and abcd. Excellent. So now let's go ahead and delete box2 and volume1. Yeah, and now what we're going to do is we are going to create a docker volume. So when you create a Docker volume, you are creating a new object in the Docker daemon that is independent of the Docker container's lifecycle. So that means this object does not depend on the life of the Docker container, and also it does not add to the size of the Docker container. Alright, so let's create the Docker volume. So Docker volume, create volume 2, and let's inspect this volume and check the mount point property, and you see that this volume is being stored in the var lib docker volumes folder. Now don't try to edit this folder or make any changes. You're not going to see any files in plain text. They are all going to be binary files and link pointers. And if you make a mistake in this folder, there's a chance that you could lose your data. So it's good practice not to mess with this folder. Alright, so now let's go ahead and create a container called box3 from the Ubuntu trusty image, and we are going to map this Docker volume into the /web folder. So right now the volume is empty, it has no data. We're just going to map this empty volume into the /web folder. So you give the volume name :/web. Alright, so it looks good. Let's try to do an ls-l/web in box3, and we see that it has no files. Let's go ahead and create another container called box4, again from Ubuntu trusty, and we're going to map the volume 2 Docker volume object into the /abcd folder inside the box4 container. Let's do an ls-l/abcd in box4, and we see that it is empty too. So the same volume has been mapped into 2 containers. So now let's go ahead and create a new file in this volume. Now one thing that you have to remember about Docker volumes is that you cannot manage it directly. If you want to add a file, delete a file, or view a file, or make any change in the volume, you have to do it through a container. So that is why in this case we are using the docker exec command to create a file in the volume. So we are going to create a file in the volume using box4, and the new file name is test1.txt. Alright, so now let's just check our box3/web, and we see that the test1.txt is available in box3 too, in the /web folder. So now let's try to create a file using box3 in the /web folder. It's called test2.txt, and this should be available in the /abcd folder in box4. Why? Because they both are mapping the same Docker volume. Yeah. So if you do a docker ps, you see a box4 and a box3. Let's go ahead and delete both of them. And when you execute a command called docker volumes, you should see the Docker volumes listed, and you can remove the volume object by executing the command docker volume rm volume 2. And with this, we come to an end of our session. Thank you very much for your time, and see you in the next session. Bye-bye. If you want to learn more about Docker or any other platform or software, you can always visit our website shri.cc, where we have different lessons for different platforms and software. So the duration for these lessons are different depending on the level of depth that you want. So if you just want to get an idea of the course, we have such sessions for you. If you want to go deeper, you know the basics, you just want to go deeper into it, we have such sessions for you too. So feel free to contact us via our website, which is www.shree.cc, sree.cc. So thank you very much for your time. Hope this quick video gives you an idea or helps you get started or keeps you curious enough to watch the other episodes. See you soon. Bye-bye. If you like this video, don't forget to click that thumbs up button and share this video with your friends. And also click that subscribe button and the bell icon so that you get notified every time we release a new lesson.